Jehoiada the high priest was full of days and waxed old. 130 years old was he when he died. Jehoiada was loved by all Israel. He had done so much for them and for God that they honored his passing by burying him in the city of David among the tombs of the kings. Now the princes of Judah came before the king and made obeisance to him, and he granted them audience and hearkened upon their voices.
And so, your majesty, it's our sincere and earnest plea that his majesty yield to the will of the people, and restore unto them the high places and groves in which they can worship and make reverence to Baal.
But Baal is a heathen god. No god at all, merely wood and stone images.
But it is what the people want that matters, your majesty. They want to go back to the worship of Baal as they did in the days of Ahaziah, thy father. And you, O king, art their leader, their champion and representative. Surely his majesty wishes the acclaim and respect of his people?
Of course, but
Then we may order the restoration of the high places.
But I was brought up in the temple of the God of heaven under the influence of Jehoiada. He taught me well reading unto the books of Moses. The Israelite God is the God of creation. He saved Noah and his sons from the flood. He led our father Abraham to a land of milk and honey. He delivered Moses and our forebears from bondage in Egypt.
We argue not these points, your majesty. We merely urge the king to do the will of his people. And besides, O king, Jehoiada is dead. Thou art now the king. The power and glory of Judah is thine.
Yes. All right. You have my permission to let the people worship whomever they will.
Thank you, your majesty. God save the king. God save the king.
I am Zechariah, son of Jehoiada. O ye people of Judah, why do you transgress the commandments of God? Why do ye forsake the God of Abraham and Isaac and of Israel, and serve groves and idols? Know ye not that ye cannot prosper serving heathen false gods? The Spirit of God cometh upon me, and I am moved to thus reprimand you, urging you, ye people of Judah, to return to serving the Lord God your Maker.
On the balcony of the palace nearby stood King Joash and his chief officer, watching the scene in the courtyard of the temple.
He influences the people against me. That is treason worthy of death. See to it immediately.
Will His Majesty permit me to voice certain facts?
Permission granted, but be quick about it. I want that traitor stoned to death by the people themselves. Now, down there in the temple courtyard.
Your Majesty, Zechariah is priest to the Most High God of Israel. He is the son of Jehoiada, who saved thy life when thou wert but a baby. He hid you for 6 years, then caused the crown of Judah to be placed upon thy head. Certainly, O king, thou wilt have mercy upon Zechariah. He betrays thee not, O king, but is merely trying to serve the one and only God of
He is a traitor to me, the throne, to my power and influence. He must die. Go down there and give the people my command to stone Zechariah to death. You throw the first stone.
Yes, Your Majesty.
But, Captain, marching against Jerusalem, is it not foolish?
I think not, Your Majesty.
Well, I don't care what you think. I know from past history that we Syrians have been defeated by the Israelites without them ever losing a man. Their God intervened in their behalf.
Your Majesty has hit upon their very weak point. Right now they worship Baal, and not the God that intervenes in their behalf. So what happens, Your Majesty? Again they will depend upon God, but he will not help them, and being unprepared for war themselves, they and their cities will surrender to us with but a handful of soldiers.
Oh, very well, Captain. Your request is granted, but you realize, of course, that if you are wrong and are defeated, and the men of Judah take not thy head from thy shoulders, I will.
Yes, Your Majesty.
I don't understand it. Now, why did God permit the Syrians with just a mere handful of men to destroy my officers and devastate Jerusalem? Why does God permit me to be ill? Why can't the court physicians cure me?
Because we have disobeyed the Lord, forsaken him. We worship and depend upon a false god who is no god at all, merely wood and stone.
Get the court physician. Hurry.
Yes, Your Majesty. He was brought up in the temple under the godly Jehoiada, taught to honor and worship God. But as soon as Jehoiada was dead, he forsook God. How could he forget so soon?
Where is the king? We have business with him.
He's in there. You may speak with him, but only for a moment, while I go to call the court physician.
Oh, just a minute. You and I have been close to King Joash, even closer to Jehoiada, who saved Joash from the wicked Athaliah. Joash has changed. He's even sunk so low in the mire of sin that he murdered the sons of Jehoiada. Now he's caused the smiting of our men, our holy city, and Jerusalem. Personally, I cannot forgive him for murdering the sons of his benefactor. Now, there was no harm in them. It was unjustified, wanton murder.
I must hurry. He is in much pain, about to die.
How right he is. King Joash is about to die.
Well, he should pay for his sins against his God and people and country. We'll just make sure that he does.
The wages of sin is death?
Exactly. Let us go into the king, but not to cure his wounds.
So King Joash came to an unnatural death, slain by 2 of his servants. And they showed their contempt for their wicked king by burying him not in the sepulchre of the kings. During this period in the history of Judah, the kingdom was marked with violence and bloodshed. And since the evil reign and influence of the wicked Ahab, the rulers of God's people had been sowing the wind. Now they were reaping the whirlwind. And after Joash died in his bed at the hand of 2 of his servants, did Amaziah his son reign in his stead. Amaziah also died when his servants conspired against him, and they buried him with his fathers in the city of Judah. Then all the people took Uzziah and made him king, and for many years he did that which was right in the sight of God. He built engines invented by cunning men, and placed the engines in the towers upon the bulwarks to shoot arrows and great stones. And the name of Uzziah spread far abroad, for he was mighty and strong. But when he was strong and famous, his heart was lifted up in pride.
Well, that was a great victory. I think I'll just go into the temple and burn incense to celebrate.
Well, greetings, Your Majesty. Do you wish me to burn incense on the altar as a thank offering to God?
No, I do not. I'm going to burn the incense myself.
But, Your Majesty, only the priests are allowed to burn incense.
I am king, and I will burn the incense if I want to. Don't tell me I'm not allowed.
I am sorry, but I cannot allow it. Neither will the priests with me.
I have a censer. I will burn my own incense. Get out of my way.
Look, the king's falling.
What?
The Lord has visited him with leprosy.
He did not serve God.
And Uzziah was a leper until the day of his death. And being a leper, he dwelt not in the palace of the king. And Jotham his son was over the king's house, judging the people of the land.